Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis star in the film Friends with Benefits. It's directed by Will Gluck, who last year directed the film Easy A. This film gets an easy F from me. This film is supposed to be a comedy. Friends with Benefits is a film that we've seen before already in this year, and that was No Strings Attached, which starred Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher. And that film wasn't great either. This one is worse. The comedy here is supposed to be funny, and it's just not. A lot of the things about this film seem to revolve around knocking gay people into the ground with stereotypical jokes and humor that's not really funny at all. Woody Harrelson plays a character that's gay, and he is an ally, or I should say co-worker, for Justin Timberlake's character, a man who does photo shoot editing at GQ. After he was at a paper in Los Angeles, he's convinced by Mila Kunis, who's a headhunter, to come to New York, to stay in New York. And then there seems to be something going on between both Kunis and Timberlake. There seems to be an attraction between the two of them. And they seem to want something, but it's not a relationship. They want sex and sex only. They try to have sex only. And you know where this film is going, and so do I. I knew where it was going even before I stepped into the theater to watch it. Friends with Benefits has some funny moments, only a few, but most of the film is sabotaged by its own stupidity. Justin Timberlake's character in particular is made to look very silly, not because he's a buffoon or anything like that, but because there's some traits about his character that don't make sense as far as the screenplay goes. The screenplay is poorly conceived. It seemed to try to make jokes out of everything, and they tried to squeeze as much parody out of romantic movies as possible, but the problem is it exhausts itself by repeating itself too much. And Mr. Timberlake's character does things that just don't seem to add up. It's a very peculiar thing. The editing is poor, the continuity is poor. I could sense where the ADR was in this film. Also, I'd only seen it once. Will Gluck is a guy that's trying his best to make things happen, to make people laugh. As I said, he gets to do that sometimes, but most of the time this film is absolutely forgettable. Mila Kunis has some talent, and Justin Timberlake does too. This is his first leading role, but I only wish the film that he chose, it just happened to be this one, but I wish he'd chosen something better. He's done good work in films like Bad Teacher, which just came out a few weeks ago, and he's done other great work too in films like Alpha Dog and of course The Social Network. But here, he's not as good as he could be. Most of his good stuff, his good acting, comes towards the second half of the film. Richard Jenkins stars as his father, a man who has dementia, and Patricia Clarkson stars as the mother of Mila Kunis. And there's a subtext and a subplot going on about absentee parents, absentee fathers, fathers who are there in person and who are not there. That stuff isn't bad. I mean, not too bad. Friends with Benefits takes this and relegates it, and then spends most of the time sabotaging itself with stupid stereotypes and very corny punchlines that just don't work. There's appearances and cameos that don't make sense. They get well worn after a while, and they just seem to come out of left field. The cameos do that, but they just don't make sense here. Friends with Benefits is a fringe benefit. You can skip this one, or you can just call it Dickhead in a Box. I'm Omar Moore for the Popcorn Reel.